Hi folks, Matt Easton here, Scholar Gladiatoria. So hopefully you've seen my previous video already now, talking about the comparison between the sword and the quarterstaff, and the fact that although the quarterstaff has a lot of advantages, which essentially are reach and speed, therefore, the sword fundamentally has its own advantages in that it is a sharp piece of metal, and a sharp piece of metal is infinitely easier to fatally wound someone with than a stick is. Yes, if I clap someone in the head, I might crack their skull, I might kill them. However, with the sharp sword, there are all sorts of bits of the body that you can pierce and cut with a sharp sword, and that person is screwed. Not so with a stick. You can beat someone with a stick for quite a long time, and if you don't hit them in a vital spot, they'll be angry and they'll be hurt and they might have broken bones, but essentially they'll be alive and they can still fight. However, there is a more important, I think, point historically to be compared between the staff and the sword. And I always kind of like, when people go, oh well, you know, oh you swordsman, you're such you think the sword is such a fantastic weapon, but me with my simple 6 foot or 7 foot staff, it's just a piece of wood and I can beat you with it. This is something that's been handed down, particularly in English historical sources, that the quarterstaff is superior to the sword. Whether it is or whether it isn't, if we just put that to one side for a moment and just let's say, okay, let's say they're equal in terms of their ability to defend you and offend the opponent. If we compare them, they are actually not comparable. The very simple kind of fundamental aspect of swords in history is that they are sidearms. You can wear them everywhere. You can ride a horse with them, you can go to the pub wearing them, you can walk down the street, you can run, you can climb, potentially even swim. You can wear them anywhere. They are not usually a primary weapon in war. In war, they are usually a secondary weapon unless coupled with a large shield. So when you're using or wearing a sword rather, when you're wearing a sword, you can carry a halberd or a gun or a bow or a large shield or a javelin, or you can operate siege machinery, artillery. You can't do that wearing a staff. You cannot wear a quarterstaff in practical everyday sense. And in actual fact, you can wear a sword and carry a pole weapon. You can carry a halberd or a partisan, something that is superior to a staff. Why carry a staff if you can carry a staff with a bit of pointy metal on the end? Okay? A poleaxe or a halberd or a partisan or a glaive or a spetum or a spear are all staves which have something that makes them even more effective added to either one end or both ends of them. Okay? So the simple fact is that a sword is a sidearm. To compare it with a polearm is a little bit silly because polearms have inherent advantages over swords. And really, of the polearms, I would argue, I know George Silver may disagree, but I would argue that the staff, or the quarterstaff, is one of the poorest of all polearms. Because surely a polearm, which also has a pointy bit of metal attached to it, can still do all the things that the quarterstaff can do, and more. So there we go guys, I do not think actually that it's that sensible comparing a sidearm with something that's not a sidearm. We may as well say what is better, a longbow or a trebuchet. Cheers.